Back in February, I did a video called 3 Stocks I'm Watching for February. One of the stocks I was watching was a company called skillz. Skillz has gotten its face kicked inside out from an all-time high of about 40-ish bucks back around when I did that video, down to where it is now at about $12.50. What do we do when stocks we're watching get pummeled like this? So jumping into the charts here, check it out. Back when I was talking about skillz in February 21st, it was 46.06, which seems to be its all-time high. Now we're down here at about 12.55. So there's a lot going on. And so you may be wondering what the heck's going on with skillz. First of all, we had the treasury rate, the 10-year treasury rate, start to make some gains, which scared a lot of money out of really kind of more speculative plays that haven't really been, showing real gains yet. Skillz is like that. Desktop Metal is like that. A lot of what ARK invests in is like that. And kind of a fleeing back to safer, kind of safe haven type stocks. That was kind of like Punch 1, but Punch 2 was a report that came out that said kind of the early part of 2021, their app downloads have started to collapse. We're going to take a look at a couple of articles to look at what's going on, why that might be happening, but I also wanted to share from the CEO of the company what he's thinking about, what he's expecting, and also keep in mind that in a couple of weeks, the first quarter's earning report will be coming out shortly too. We did see a lot of negative media press on skillz saying that, watch out guys, even the core team, even the CEO are selling out of huge amounts of their shares, like this article here. Interestingly, this article is from Investor Place, and they have articles like this saying, watch out, but they also have articles like this saying it's a cautious buy. And then they also have articles like this saying why that doesn't matter and why you should buy the stock. So very confusing. Here's a Form 4 that you can look up on secform4.com. I'll link it down in the description if you want to look it up. You can also just Google Form 4 SKLZ and it will show you what's going on. But let's take a look at this one. Andrew Paradise is the CEO of the company. And this is saying, indeed, he disposed of, that D means disposal, 8.4 million shares. And so people are like, oh my gosh, even the CEO is bailing. This is terrible. Let's get out. And, let's take what most people don't do is actually read the numbers, but check it out over here. It says he still owns 68 million shares. So he still owns a huge amount of shares. And so obviously it's not the most comforting thing when you see a CEO of one of your companies selling out, but it should be reassuring to know that he still has a massive, massive amount of his holdings on hand. And that goes, I think, in almost all of the cases with skillz. I think that's the case. And so reports like that, if they get into the right or wrong places, depending on your perspective, can scare inexperienced investors away from the stock really quickly. And skillz is a really interesting platform because it's a new esports kind of gaming system. If you want to learn more about how it works, the nitty-gritty of it, watch me kind of playing some of the games. You can watch my original video up here. But the way they've built it is really, really addicting. And the way they've done it is it totally doesn't appeal to hardcore gamers. But it does totally appeal to young gamers or even people in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s who have time and have some disposable income to be able to go on, put in a couple of bucks to a tournament and maybe come out with $4 or $8 or $10 or something like that. Apparently, the largest earning gamer from the platform in 2020 earned millions of dollars. And so this is a platform that has a bright future, even though most gamers wouldn't look at it and be like, dude, this is real gaming. Most people look at it as kind of very casual, very just kind of easy to pick up and play. But it's so addicting that when I got my hands on it and played some of the games, I was kind of like, this could end up being a big deal in a few years. Next, I wanted to take a little bit of a look at Andrew Paradise's blog. He sent this letter over to Seeking Alpha and said, basically, hey guys, here are my thoughts on what's going on. He starts out by saying, I have built a bunch of companies. I kind of know what's going on now, but life wasn't always successful at the beginning. I made an exit, but it wasn't super successful. Journey's been great. When we launched skillz, mobile gaming was an $8 billion market and mobile esports did not exist. Since then, mobile gaming has become the largest and fastest growing segment of gaming, generating a 23% compound annual growth rate over the past 5 years, driven by increasingly powerful mobile devices and faster wireless speeds. As a result, the mobile gaming market reached $86 billion in 2020, and that's expected to grow to 161 billion by 2025. And then he goes on to say, we are on iOS and we're going to launch on Android soon, which will open our doors to a lot more people. He goes on to say that the lifetime value per user acquisition cost has been getting better and better over the years. And all of their cohorts, all of their different age groups, their target groups continue to get bigger. None of them have ever gotten smaller. Then he goes on to say where we are now. Remember, they do have an earnings report coming out in a couple of weeks, so we should get even more granular detail on this. It says, we recently announced a record revenue outlook for Q1 of 21, driven by double-digit growth in payers, resulting from both an increase in new installs and rising conversion of existing players into payers. In late March, we released our outlook for Q1 revenue of 80 million. The results are still preliminary and not final until we report results on our earnings call. Our outlook for Q1 revenue implies growth of 84% year over year and 18% quarter over quarter. This will mark our 21st consecutive quarter of sequential revenue growth. Having said that, we see the progress to date as still being very early and relatively unpenetrated even in our core business. He goes on to say, for media companies, it's hard to tell what games are going to, or movies are going to be the big hits. You just got to keep releasing and some of them will take off and some of them won't. And then he says where we're going. Android will be a big part of our services going forward. North America is our largest segment, and international only makes up about 10% of our revenues, but that's going to be changing soon. I imagine localizing or, basically translating games like this onto a bunch of different languages isn't very hard because I think a lot of them don't have words in them. We expect India will increase our addressable market by 65% and is projected to grow 4 times faster than the US. The potential upside is compelling to say the least. We're also exploring expansion beyond video games. Then he wraps up by saying, long or short, we know opinions make the market. We appreciate you reading this to give us the opportunity to shed some light on the facts behind the skillz story, performance, and bright future. So all of that is very, very reassuring, and I think kind of goes in the face of what a lot of people are saying about skillz. I'm really interested to look at the earnings report coming out in a couple of weeks so we can look at some of the more granular metrics like ARPs and things like that. So what do we do in this situation where we might have even bought in when it was around 40 bucks and now it's 12? In my case, I just buy more. If you had, let's say, 100 bucks a month, you could have bought 2 shares, 2 point something shares a couple months ago. Now you can buy like 8 shares. And so that brings your cost per share much lower. And so this is seeing in action why I'm always saying, guys, you need to be dollar cost averaging. So I will be doing a further, more in-depth report on skillz coming up shortly once the report comes out. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if this impacts you, if you're still excited about the stock, or if you hate the stock, or if you've already taken off from the stock. Let me know, guys. Thank you guys very much for your time, and talk to you soon.